So for the second learning center, this one is aimed at medium level readers. And what I chose to do for this center is a writing prompt. So I'm going to give the students a prompt that goes like, I will help the Lorax save the truffula trees by ... And it's an open-ended thought. That way students will be able to provide their input into how they want to help the Lorax save the truffula trees. So in order to do this, students need to be aware of what happened to the trees and what can they do differently in order to prevent that from happening again. So this learning center ties in closely with the first one. For the first learning center, I had students create a sequel to the Lorax. So they were able to do more hands-on experiences, and they were able to work in a group in order to figure out what the next step was, what they were going to do after the Lorax was over, after the trees were cut down and they disappeared. So for this center, the second learning center, the writing prompt, it's pretty much the same thing, but for this I applied differentiated instruction, which it's not as hands-on. That way medium level learners could be able to pretty much answer the same question, but in a different way, in a way that would be not easier, but just more direct in how they were going to come about helping the truffula trees, or helping the Lorax save the truffula trees. This learning center ties into the standard I previously mentioned, due to the fact that in order for students to be able to state how they are going to help the Lorax save the truffula trees, they have to be able to recount key details in the story. So they have to be able to remember what happened to the truffula trees, why did they disappear, why were they being cut down, and they have to apply that to their thinking in order to come up with a solution to the problem. So they have to keep in mind what they know about how the Onceler was greedy and wanted to sell more needs, and they have to be able to apply that thought and that concept to their solution. So what some topics that they could talk about would be, like I mentioned, it would be replanting the truffula trees, or coming up with different ways, or maybe a synthetic material that they could use as a need instead of cutting down truffula trees. So students would have to think of alternatives in order to answer this prompt.